music, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, music and photography.
That's a very broad question, because I think if you're working on something specific thing, you will look at other things that relate to it in different mediums, different genres. I mean, for instance, when the subject of the triptychs came up, I just was interested in triptychs, and it's a thing that goes back in art, and I looked at the way they worked, but that was just a specific thing. I think it's just research, you know, that based on whatever you're faced with.
We're in the middle of doing another movie now that's got a lot of sort of brutality and torture and things in it, and going through the dailies, I got fixated with playing Nick Cave in the background, murder ballads, and just this nasty. It made you were quite happy in the horror of what you were doing.
I think for me, inspiration comes from, I would tend to work on character pieces, so my life experience, or stories or family stories, or just kind of what you live day to day, you kind of have an understanding for different characters when you go to work. And of course, music, photography, things like that. On The Fighter, they sent me to, before the shoot started, they sent me to Staples Center to be ringside in a boxing match, and go back into the HBO trucks and see how they called the fights live, how they put them together. And what I was struck by being ringside was what it sounded like in there, how you hear it behind you, all around you. So I took that with me to the, to the sound of the film.
I had a pretty similar experience on The Wrestler, where we, I didn't know anything about the wrestling world when I got that job, but one of Darren's things is he likes to get the whole team together to do as much research as possible, go to whatever events that are related. So we went to a few wrestling matches, and I went to this. We went to a huge one, which was a terrible hardcore match, and then this other thing that was just this little mom and pop thing that was going on in a gymnasium. But what struck me was the audience participation in the whole thing, and that there's this whole rhythm that goes on where, like, where the fight turns and the bad guy gets taken over by the good guy, and then the audience participates, and the energy of it, the rhythm of all that, and just the rhythm of the whole thing, that they're literally cheering and booing each move. And I brought a M audio thing with me, and I just went around the whole. I was so excited. I went around the whole place and I recorded it. And a lot of that stuff ended up in the movie as part of our track, just because it totally informed the way we cut those scenes, and we talked about it a lot, and DP and everybody, we tuned right into that. And I think research is key sometimes if you're fortunate enough to have the time to do it beforehand.
Yeah, and I think everything you do as an editor, you're bringing, everything you do in your life, you're bringing to the cutting room. It's not just music, it's not just art, theater. As few movies as I can bring. I don't like to look at other movies that deal with the same things, but everything else you've ever done in your life, I think you bring into a cutting room. It is kind of an art form.
I think as editors, you probably, I don't know whether you're this character to begin with or you slowly grow into it. I can't speak for everyone, but I think as people you tend to listen more than talk. So it is everything you're experiencing. It's why we're all having sort of mild panic attacks before sitting in this chair, because you're not really trained to.
What do you mean before?
Oh, I haven't been hard on you guys.
Still going.